Yeah. Listen, 6:32, May 6th, Monday. It's a new week. Let's go. Not quite a jungle out there, but I always like to get the blood flowing a little bit to this song. Take a look at disclosure. You guys know the drill by now. Compliance likes us to take a look at the disclosure, so let's do it. Let's get to it. Good morning, everybody. My name is Scott Redler. I am the Chief Strategic Officer of T3Live.com. Welcome to today's 6:30 Club. It's a new week. Got about 75% of the earnings behind us. We have a lot of economic data behind us. And here we are set up for a new week. We got the S&P futures giving us a little follow through to Friday's kind of a little gap and go after the jobs report, which gave us a lot of nice constructive action to try and stay with. And we'll see what this week brings. You know, we still got a bunch more earnings reports to sift through. We got some resistance above. Market's a tiny bit overbought. So got to be a little bit careful. So before we get into it, let me say hello to some of my dogs around the world. Who do we got? Got Soli in the house. We got Don. Good morning. We got Ali Hassan. Good morning. We got Bobby 4.0. There we go. There we go. From Tampa. We got Ryan from North Dakota. You know, Glenn says, let's go Nvidia. What up, D. Ramsey? What up, Blair from the Alpha team? Cheers to everybody who's up and awake and hopefully had a good weekend. It's a new week. Here we get going. So let's roll out the shoulders, you know, kind of let everything settle down. Think about all the things that, you know, we did well with last week and what we could work on this week and, you know, have multiple plans because that's the way to go. We take a look here at the chart, right? Let's get to the chart. Oh, I got to connect us. Yes. Red Dog is getting better at this. Connect, entire screen, boom. All right, there we are. Say, looky. There we go. So, by the way, what I do is every morning once I'm listening to music and getting going, you know, I do about 40 charts. I put language in the chart, so a little bit of narrative, a little bit of thoughts. So this way everyone could read it and figure out what they want to do. So basically within, you know, the chart of the S&P, I always give a little bit of what's happening overseas, which is the first thing I look at when I wake up. You know, Europe's a bit higher. I think the DAX is up like 0.5%. Some of Asia was closed, but it's funny how this weekend everybody's getting bullish now on the Hang Seng and the Shanghai. But meanwhile, where were they in February when it broke the downtrend? Where were they in December when we wrote about over allocating there? But anyway, that's that. So if you look here at the chart of the S&P cash, you know, this is what we have to start the week. This was this lower wedge type pattern that we were talking about that we gapped above, you know, and held it. So that meant some power. So with that being said, we had enough power also to get through 51.23 to hit 51.39. This, you know, this was your red dog reversal post-Fed. Remember that day? It looked as if maybe, you know, we would go back and retest that area, but we did not. Little red dog reversal went below 5,013, came up prior to the weaker than expected jobs report. And then we had 5139, and here's your little levels above 5160, 5175, and then 5228. So I'm long a bunch of positions that I'm going to manage, and I'm going to have to deal with a few things. So listen, so the narrative right now that you're going to probably hear on TV is, you know, the weaker data that we saw in the past week, whether it was a jobs report and a few others, you know, is that going to make us be in a benign type of Goldilocks scenario where they can cut rates now a quarter, twice? That's what the consensus now is. It's 2 quarter cuts. That's what it switched from. It went from like, you know, almost like 32 basis points worth of cuts back to 50, with the percentage in I think July is now like 70% and September is 90%. So we'll see, can those 2 little rate cuts help with the narrative, you know, or is the slowdown that we started to see in the data, you know, a sign that we're going to hit a recession again? I don't think that. I think more of, you know, we're in this range and it's going to take some time. I don't think we're going to all of a sudden be making, you know, new highs quite that soon. I think we're going to stay in this range throughout a little bit of the summer. So anyway, there'll be some things to do, I'm sure. If you want to go to the SPYs real quick, you know, SPYs also, you know, gave you 508.56 to trade against. Hit a high of 512.55. So if we get through there, I would think 515 would be, you know, a decent resistance area. Just so you know, the oscillator went out of plus 60. When I put my wife's blood in the street account to work here, we're a minus 70. Okay, meanwhile, that one's still in there, and I don't take it off. If we were to have a really strong move this week and close on the highs, maybe just to lock her in, 3% besides the rider. But, usually I wait to a new high before I get her, back to just a fixed rider. But anyway, what up, Tony? What up, S. Wayne? So coming into this week, what are some of the thoughts? What do I have on? So here's the alpha team. Um, I did, I am long Apple, okay, and yes, Warren, Dr. Buffett, or Berkshire sold a percentage of it, a small percentage of it, still his largest position. It's going to be his largest position, but the media is going to run with the fact that is Buffett getting rid of his Apple? No, he already sold and trimmed a little bit. It's almost like Amazon. You have you have Jeff and Mackenzie owning 19% of Amazon, and they're on a selling program, not because Amazon is such a bad stock. It's just because they own 19% of the float, so they have to sell it here and there to, for their charities and whatnot. And I'm sure Berkshire has to do it because they have so much of it. Anyway, we'll see. I think today's a big day for Apple as far as, how does it handle it? I'm in Nvidia, I'm in Apple, I'm in Tesla. I'm in some SPY calls, 512s, which will help. I have Palantir for earnings on, and I do have a little Apple options, and I have some Nvidia options in Nvidia. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see what we could do here. I'm probably going to, sell some of the SPY calls, and I might even sell some premium. I might sell some 515s for Wednesday, thinking that if we get to 515 by Wednesday, that's probably where we stall, and that could be a way to generate some cash flow by taking in some premium. Anyway, so here's Apple. I do think today is going to be an interesting day for Apple, because of the news that Buffett sold some. What's going to happen here? It's down. Oh, it's only down $1.36 now. That's not a big deal. It was up 10. So we'll see, if it could go green and absorb everybody talking about how Buffett sold a small portion, I think that would go a long way for confidence for this active sequence that it could reclaim this, go sideways, and at some point, take this out with their huge buyback, their huge dividend, and their big conference coming up in June. The stock has done absolutely nothing, but on the weekly chart, it did come into a resistance area. That's why I went with the 177 calls. They said we can get to probably 187, and look at that quinky dink. Looking ahead, you could figure out where to trim some and sell some. My options last Friday went from $1.50. I sold some at 9. So congratulations if you played the calls with me for Apple. Anyway, now we'll see, what kind of action do we have here today. So what else am I going to try and stay with this week? I am long Nvidia, and Nvidia to me is still best in breed. It's still the best looking AI semi. It's been consolidating. It's been giving us some things to do. Gave us this 870 to trade against. Nice little gap. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see 907 to 922 this week. It's up 5 or 6 points. First thing would be, I'm sure there are going to be some people who trim it to strength. I will also. I'm long a decent amount, and I have options that I'm not going to touch for the week in case we continue higher. But I have to trim some. It's our job to net money. Stock's up $6. I trim some. If it holds, shows volume, gives me a clue. Maybe I'll even get bigger than I had overnight. And then we'll see if it gets 907 to 922. So that's a focus. It's been a great focus. You have a low, higher, low, higher, low, higher, low. And then I did mention, come Thursday, Friday, it felt like AMD and SMCI finally hit a tradable low. So that could relieve some pressure off of Nvidia, which is acting better. So put all those things together, and that's going to be helpful this morning. And hopefully you guys are with me. I know most of the Alpha team is with me. I am in some Amazon also. Amazon is a pebble throw away from all-time highs. Going to try and stay with it. It might need a little time to let the moving averages catch up, but it responded well post earnings. A lot of people along versus this spot, and that spot was 179. It all depends on how much room you want to give this. But this also, if you remember, when it made that all-time high, right here, it was at the wrong time in the market. That was when we pulled back 5.5%. So it was a little trickier there. But anyway, what's Amazon doing today? Amazon is down 22 cents. So Amazon and Apple, two of my positions are down a little bit. It's fine. Nvidia's up. SPYs are up. Tesla, I'm in also. Tesla, I had a great earnings play here too. Okay, a lot of people took the earnings play with me, and then this post earnings play where even if you didn't take it with the earnings, come in a buyer versus here, went as high as 198 and pulled back. So I did kind of re-enter here where it gave you this like small little red dog reversal right around this 179 area. And now we'll see, kind of get above and stay above this 184-ish area to continue to the upside. What's Tesla doing today? It's up $1.58, nothing so special. But it's better than and Nvidia. What's Nvidia up here is 583. So, mixed action. Sometimes it's good when you have mixed action because you get to pick and choose what's in play and how it's going about it. So, and then if something digests while you're playing something in play, you're going with your process there. So we'll see, does this get taken out to continue the upside? Tesla's been great. Some people like Red Dog, how does something start a new active sequence? You were away from this stock since 1228. You didn't want to be bothered with it ever since this high here. And why engaging in again? Because it's making it easier, and there's cash flow moves, and it's playing by some rules versus opening up $4 and then going red and going down 3 and then closing up 1 or whatever it's doing. It's it gave you a great options trade. It gave you a level to trade against, gave you a first little move, and then it also gave you a big move to sell into. And now we'll see if this 176 is the low and it starts to make its way back towards this 198. So if it pays you to engage it, you stay engaged there. If it's misdirectional and predatory, then you get away from it. You want to go ARM? ARM I really haven't been trading, but I guess you could say if you do remember, we did really well with ARM into this move, and then it broke down, and I haven't really traded it since. I've been just trading, Nvidia, AMD, and SMCI. This, to me, sometimes, unless it's perfect, is hard because it trades by appointment, not as much by relative strength and relative weakness. But anyway, Meta, I think Meta, is going to fill this gap. It's a different type of trade. It's not near all-time highs. It's not looking like it's going to break out. It's not leading, but it's been rebuilding in the penalty box ever since it said it's got to, increase its capex, and it probably does fill this portion of the gap. I was going to take it over the weekend, and I didn't. What's it doing this morning? Meta is up 4. If you took in, congratulations. It's 456. Probably works its way towards 475. There you go. Google and Microsoft last week where it was hard because kind of like an Apple, Google and Microsoft, were the reason why we rallied a week ago. And then on Monday, they just filled those earnings gaps. And now you got to figure it out. Like Google, this gap was all the way up here, right? Post earnings. And then this was that Friday. And then boom, if you took it versus that level, they kind of bagged you. And then they did it again. So now if you didn't, get hurt there, there are some people in the Alpha team that are long versus 162, and it probably just needs time. But it is, it's something to stay with. It was a little weaker because there was some rumors about, I'm not even getting into it on Friday, but it absorbed that. What's Google doing this morning? Google, it's up 11 cents, not a whole lot, but it's in the game there. Bitcoin, I gotta say, I made really good money on Bitcoin. I gotta give it to Chillo, not to me. If you remember, I talked about this spot right here. It was awesome. Okay, I bought IBIT. I did play options, which I'm still long for late May, which would be nice. But into this pullback, I'm like, this is a pretty big spot. We can start buying IBIT, and then pow. Okay, I did take mine off into the close on Friday, so I don't have it for this gap up. The IBIT itself, which would be nice. It's up another $1. But I would think this is going to be some kind of resistance where if you bought with us last week, this is a spot to trim. Okay, right? The nice little move right back kind of in the middle retracement wise. But that was a great trade. I'm like, you know what? The breakout trade didn't work. The pullback into an oversold area does, and then kind of had a false breakdown. So we'll see how that acts. So there was stuff to do there also. I haven't really been that involved in the IWM just because, I just haven't. So to me, it's been very choppy. It's been a harder trade. You have to worry about, the rates, the economic reports of this, of that, and there's not a lot of small caps doing well. Yes, some banks and some energy, but it gave you a gap to trade against. So if you long this, you could be long versus 201. Why not? So it's fine. For me, I don't, I can't kiss all the babies. I say that all the time. Some guys get FOMO if they're missing every single sector. Sometimes it's just better to, to hone in on a few things so you can see when things change, so you can get bigger in what you have on your go-to list. But if you have a point of reference to trade against, you have a point of reference. So B long versus 201, it hit a high of 204.16. Where is it this morning? I put these charts on there, so I'm glad you asked me so I could update it. This is 204.16. So it's basically filled this gap. So this gap is gone. Goodbye. See how that easy that is, right? Where's IWM this morning? IWM is up $1.66. So everything is up a bit. You could be long the SPYs or you could be long IWM. Same thing. Whichever one you feel more comfortable. For me, I'm in the 212 calls. I'll sell them for a nice profit, and then I'm going to sell the 215s as my hedge. So I'm going to try and stay with this active sequence that started. Some people like Redler. When did the active sequence for the SPYs start? To me, it started here. Why did it start there? Because that's where I put the blood in the street account to work and gave you a quick move up to sell, if you remember. Then you had Meta and IBM get crushed. So hopefully you trim some. That was the 100-handle move I talked about that usually happens after my blood in the street account gets filled. Then you had a higher low. So if you trimmed into a 4-day move, why not using your day count? You had a good buy here. Then it made a higher high. So if you trimmed into that, then you had even into the Fed. If you get out on Fed day, gave you away on Thursday to get back in. And so you're buying dips, okay, in a methodical way has worked. And then all of a sudden, gap up, boom. So, this has been a nice active sequence that's been paying you to buy dips and trade around it versus this was your active bearish sequence when it broke here where you couldn't buy a dip and you had to sell every rally, and that was into there. So now we'll see if this continues. You could probably say that here's, the halfway mark almost-ish of this channel. So it's already proved, it proved the bears didn't have full control, but I'm not thinking we're going to all of a sudden, go nuts here either. So just pick and choose your spots carefully. Morning, Joe. How you doing? I've looked at Hood. Hood's been acting well. I haven't really played Hood, but I'm happy about it. Nice looking chart. Had a big move. Definitely. This is where a lot of people from my alpha team were looking at it. When it took out this 1350, gave you a really nice move using your 8 and 21 day, you were fine. And now it seems like it's cool again. I'm just not there. I got bullied into buying Palantir options on Friday for today's earnings. So let's hope that, it kind of behaves. They did sign a few more deals and AI is still strong and there's a void here. So I figured down here, it's a decent setup. I feel like when people look at Palantir, they look at Hood, it's like the small cap, names that some people love. But anyway, I'm in that. I might trim a little bit and then hold some. I haven't really looked at MU in a while. I could take a look at MU. What do you name? Biopharma. A lot of these things, all kind of broke down and are trying to work their way back towards where it should hit some resistance. So different type of trade. Different type of trade. Here was your pro gap trade. That gave you a nice move to highs, and then it broke down here with a red dog reversal. Now it's, rebuilding. So the problem is, are these all rebuilding to be sold? How much time do they need? So for me, I don't need to trade the peripherals of the AI semis, whatnot. I'll just trade Nvidia. Nvidia gives you signals all day long on whether you could add, take off. You can see when it gets thicker. You can see when it's better. So, you could have the whole group up and see how it's acting. Like it was good to know when AMD put its little red dog reversal low in here, okay, which gave you a little bit of a cash flow trade that I didn't trade, but that told me that, hey, AMD that's been a bit of a headwind, maybe it's not for a week. Same thing with SMCI. SMCI also, and it filled the gap a little bit. It looked like it was holding here, going to fill the gap. So that gave me more confidence to have more size in NVIDIA. But, if you can handle all of it, you handle it. Microsoft, it too. This was like the predatory move. Like that was just wasn't nice. It looked good. You had a gap here, then 3 hard days down, as if what the hell, and then 3 days back. So at this point, it's fine. It's rebuilding. I wouldn't chase this open. I don't even know what it's doing. I am not in Microsoft right now. It's definitely still in the game. It's still one of the stronger ones, but just it's not making it easy to trade. So if it's not making it easy to trade, don't trade it. It's up $1.82. I would be trimming or maybe fading this move into this area. I would not be buying. If you didn't buy these 3 days, just it's in the it's in the game. I make like a pecking order now for the mega cap tech of what has the best setup, what's closest to all-time highs, what is on the B or C list, what's on the A list. So this way it takes up a certain amount of real estate, in my charts. But at this point, this really isn't so compelling of a trade. You already had your bounce, and it was kind of predatory, to be honest. For it to like fill the gap and then close in the dead lows and then get bounced back, to me, it's just not great. So anyway, listen, guys, SPYs are up $1.70. The oscillator went out like a plus 60. We're definitely opening into a little overbought land. We could probably get a little bit more overbought. If you're long from last Thursday, Friday, make sure to trim some. If you're not long today, do not just start jumping in to buy things, into this area, but doesn't mean they can't push us a little bit more. Know your time frame. Look what you're doing. Listen on TV about the narrative. Is it Goldilocks or are we heading towards a recession? I think more Goldilocks. But we'll see. And there's been a lot of areas to make adjustments, and today's another one. Trim into the strength, and then we see how we hold, and we, see where the money flows, and we continue to work on our process and have some gratitude for waking up every day, right? Not everybody wakes up every day. Not everyone can be in a position to make moves and have an active account, a swing account, a option account, or a bunch of things working. So, if you don't feel like you are where you should be, figure out why. And if you want to get there fast, just take a deep breath and don't have FOMO in what you're looking to do. They say, have gratitude for what's under your feet, not what's in front of you, because what's in front of you takes work to get to. With that being said, good luck this week. I'll be here all week and we'll figure it out together. And now it's time to go with the Alpha team, my crew, and turn on some music and do about 40 charts. Later, guys.